Just finished packing for Toronto. This is pretty much how I'm going to take the FX6. Usually I would take my big case that you always see, but there's no point. I'm just following a little team around, just kind of capturing their stuff. So I'm going to take my lens that I love, which is the 35-150, obviously the FX6, my monitor, shotgun mic, and in here I do have my DJI lav kit and stuff. And then I'm taking these little MC lights, as well as there's two little travel tripod stands in there, SD cards, cord ties. Then I'm gonna be using my iPad for footage transfer. So I'll just be transferring all the footage that I shoot onto my Lacy drive through the SD card. So. Hotel room for the next 6 or 7 days. Yeah, it's not bad. So this is gonna be my entire workstation. So like I was saying, you have the SD card reader with the USB and all of that, and then it also has another USB-C, so I could put a couple things in there. So you would take your typical SD card, put it in the card reader, then you open up your files, and right here under locations, my Lacy drive's on there with all my footage. So what I typically will do is I'll make 2 of them like I would do at home. And this is the SD card. This is the drive it's all gonna go on. I would just make myself a new folder, stuff, whatever. And then open up my clips, grab it, and drag it over. And it'll start doing this thing. So this is great. And honestly, it's very, very quick. This method honestly works better because I use my iPad for my flight entertainment. So I read off of it, search the web, do basic edits, watch YouTube, all of that off of here. This thing is a beast. It's a powerhouse. That's why I've pretty much made my entire workflow setup, DIT setup, whatever you want to call it, down to just a single iPad just like this. Best part of traveling is getting to try all the new different types of foods. So, as always, how did I get this job? Networking. A buddy of mine who just had a baby got reached out by this team and this org. They wanted to hire him, fly him out. He didn't want to leave the baby. He didn't want to leave his wife with the baby. So he reached out to me and asked if I wanted it. It's something I like to make very clear. I would have not gotten this job if I didn't have the right connection, if I didn't have somebody who sent it to me and gave me the opportunity, put in that recommendation. This is why I say all the time, you have to network, you have to make relationships. This is a relationship that I've built over a few years, and it's an organic one. It's just us being friends. His name is Tyler Beakley, and he's a phenomenal editor, phenomenal shooter, somebody I've known for a few years now. And the intention was never to get work from him, but because we had a natural friendship and stuff, he sent me work. And I got to do this cool opportunity. This was a ton of fun. I haven't got to follow a team around in a couple years. So being able to do this has been a blast. It was really nice to just focus on a storyline as opposed to focusing on the whole event itself. So as much as I love the FX6, I wish it would give you the option to do both picture cache recording and simultaneous recording. So it's kind of a problem. And with picture cache recording, you also cannot do proxy, which is fine because I have 0 problems with these MXF files. The picture cache recording is a pivotal part of the way that I film these events and documents. It saves a ton of time for the editor, and it saves a ton of storage space on these cards since I'm not just rolling all the time. But yeah, I'd love to be able to simultaneous record and do picture cache.
Look out one. I'm trying to look for this guy on two back armored. 2 back armored, and one's going to be up middle. Nazi's going to be up middle.
The best part about this is that's my hotel and that's the venue. So it's like a 1-minute walk all the way to the venue. Love being that close. So the most stressful part about these events and filming for a team as opposed to just filming for the event itself is teams want interviews, which I love doing. I love finding interview spots and everything. There was a big miscommunication for me. I didn't realize that Call of Duty started on Thursdays and not Fridays. So when I showed up on Thursday thinking I was going to be able to do a cool interview inside the venue itself, like or the arena or whatever, and there were crowds there, I was kind of shocked, and I got pretty stressed out trying to find a spot. I spent a good hour looking for a spot to do this. I did find this area, which had this window here, which was good for lighting. And then I set up the Aperture MC to kind of add some hair light. It's not my favorite. I do like the depth of the background, and I like that people are walking through it. I think it's kind of cool and lively. But yeah, this was a little bit stressful to kind of set that whole thing up. The other thing is I completely forgot to bring a tripod. So I ended up putting my FX6 on one of these janky light stands, which was not the play. Anytime I had to make any slight adjustment, the camera would just like sway forever, but we got the job done. I've said it 100 times, I'll say it 101 more. This is the most versatile camera I've ever had. I just cannot see myself getting any other camera unless they somehow come out with a Mark II of this. Day one is complete. Filmed a bunch of stuff with VOD reviews and whatnot. I'm gonna go get some food, go to sleep, and then they have their first game tomorrow, so the fun actually begins. I've yet to have a bad meal here. This is a lobster egg sandwich with guacamole. I had a turkey sandwich from them yesterday, or ham or whatever, and it was so good. But yeah, so far, everything I've eaten has been just amazing.
I didn't even know you were here, bro. Have you been here all weekend?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I passed you a couple times, but God, this thing's a monster. So, unfortunately for me, the team that I was sent out to film, they had their first game on Friday, and they basically had to win out the entire event to keep going. They lost their first game, which knocked them out of the tournament, so I literally got to film them for one single game. And I kind of knew that going into it, that that was a possibility, so I really tried to overfilm and film as much as I possibly could, but it was a close game. It was still just a big bummer that this was all I got to do, basically. So the rest of the weekend was spent kind of just hanging out. I was already here, getting some footage around the city. I still need to get like 1 or 2 more interviews from the coaching staff. But I pretty much just spent the rest of my time hanging out and enjoying Toronto. These Korean hot dogs were literally so fire. I cannot believe how good they were with the takoyaki. I was enjoying the night, kind of walking around, just kind of seeing the city life a little bit, their street performances. They even had this pull-up challenge, and I decided to try it. So you had to stay on the pull-up bar for 100 seconds. You win $100. I made it about halfway through. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun just kind of enjoying the night and enjoying the city, and it's just insanely cool that my camera takes me to these places and that I get to enjoy these things. Yo, that's kind of sick looking. This is totally not practical at all, but it looks kind of sick. I'll keep it a buck. Toronto is like full of crackhead, and so I'm a little worried about going out and taking photos. I'm about to walk to a camera store. It's like a 30-minute walk. We have reached the promised land. Ugh. I've been needing one of those for a while. They're just so expensive. Like, it's so hard to bite that price when it's just some colors. Like $100 for that. Everybody's coming out with these tiny little lights. I love these batteries so much. I have new ones too, the pros. Look at that bad boy. This is like, has so much potential, but I think DJI is not really supporting it the way they need to be. That's the lens I have. Actually, I have that in like 50. Wish I used this more. I just don't use it enough to justify buying lenses. I bought one lens for it, which is that one right there. and I just barely use it. Love the Fuji though. It's just following me. Now we're in the lighting department. This has got to be one of the nicest camera stores I've ever seen. What are your thoughts on the Peak Design travel tripods? I've debated one for a long time because they get tiny. They seem sturdy. I don't like that they're Arca Swiss, but you could probably find an adapter for that for Manfrotto. I've debated something like this for a while, but $500? Not that cheap. So I already have the Peak Design like clip for my Fuji. So basically, they all work together. And look how fast that is. Do I do it? So something else I've been looking into is the F21-22s because they are tiny and they fold down flat, making it perfect for travel. I just don't like this. This is interesting. A foam Apple box. I've never seen that before. That feels solid too. It's interesting. This looks like another option. This is actually Manfrotto, and it feels sturdy. I'm thinking that, like, just for travel, if I wanted to set up for, you know, an interview, this would easily hold the FX6, and it already has the Manfrotto in it. I'm actually debating getting this right now. It's just barely taller when you take the head off. You have the head on there, it's quite a bit taller, but that comes right off. The center column is also a bit sturdier, but it seems to fold up. They're both pretty compact. So in the backpack, it definitely is tall. I don't love that, but when I take this part off, it sits about right here. So it's almost as tall as the bag without the head on there. I think I'm actually gonna pick this up. I think this is gonna be good. This is 300 Canadian dollars, so it should be like 200-ish US dollars. Nice. That is tiny. Fits perfectly in my bag. All right, in the bag we have, a Manfrotto plate. I didn't know it actually came with one, so that's nice. With the adapter, if you want to go from 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch. Yeah, it's not bad. Again, this is a travel tripod. This is something like, if I was to go out in the city, get B-roll, I would take this. If I'm traveling like I am now and I'm filming an interview for a team, I would have this, as opposed to using these like little light stands I was using. And then the small rig tripod that I love is just really bulky. So the idea is that when I'm out shooting for teams like this, everything can just be in my backpack. So when I'm walking back and forth between the venue or whatever, it's on there. But yeah, I mean, this thing feels sturdy so far. Let's see. I'm happy with that. The other thing is that my Sony a7S III lives on a DJI plate. So as far as I know, the DJI plate should fit on here instead of having two like big tripods for no reason, because the a7S III is so light and small that it doesn't require anything big. Something like this would be perfect. I also got this DJI lav mic. I have not had a lav mic, like a proper microphone like this, in a long time. And sometimes it causes issues because as much as I love the wireless mics, the magnet isn't good for corporate stuff and it can cause ruffling issues. So now I have a proper little microphone made by DJI. I don't know what the sound quality is. It was like 55 Canada dollars. DJI, please give us locking, 3.5 millimeter locking, please. I'm not that worried about this coming out. Like, it feels like it's pretty deep in there, but still, please. I think there's a way I can like plug this into the phone. the receiver's plugged into the phone, but I have no idea if it's just like instant connect or not. So theoretically, you're hearing the lav mic. So I think this is working. If it was under my shirt, this is the quality you'd be getting. Hi, my name is Paul and I work for a multi-billion-dollar corporation making lots of money. I'm gonna pay you half your day rate. So theoretically, you heard that crystal clear. If not, I don't know what I'm doing. So ultimately, this is what the backpack setup would look like. I'd have my tripod, I'd have my 2 light stands, and then I have everything else in there, and I would carry the FX6. I mean, it's a little bit weighty when it's all in there. I've got one final interview to do today, so I'll get to use that new tripod exactly how it was intended for. And then after that, really don't have anything else I gotta shoot. Also, picked up this shirt. This is the home team esports merch, man. It's starting to come along. So, like I say, I have one more interview. This is with the analyst and the player's coach. This was the final day. So it's just on Sunday, right before grand finals. So I got to actually use the new tripod, and I got to say it was a lot better. I enjoyed the setup process of it. I do miss the ease of use with the small rig Trailblazer, having the single latch to control all the legs. But for traveling and stuff, this is actually a great tripod. I'm actually happy I picked it up. So yeah, I think this is a perfect addition to my travel kit. What sucks about this is I'm getting way more sunlight this time. And because this is white, everything's just bouncing. So this seems a lot brighter. In my opinion, it looks a lot nicer than the previous interviews, but nothing I can really do about it. Can't turn the sun off. So this actually fits perfectly inside the bag right here. If I could get to this level of efficiency on my actual day-to-day shoots, I would be so much happier. One of the biggest problems I have right now is when I go to shoots, I take like literally everything I have as just in case measure, but it gets old, and half the time I'm having to pull a ton of stuff out of the truck that I don't need, or loading stuff up on the cart that I don't use. So I got to get better at understanding, like, okay, this shoot requires, you know, 1 camera, 1 tripod, 2 lights or something. But working on that, trying to keep from having to just overload myself every single time just out of the fear of not knowing.